But here's the real shocker. Some experts believe the 2017 Lincoln Cent, with the right error, in the right condition, could climb into the $1 million range as the market continues to heat up. Hard to believe? Keep watching, because the deeper we go, the stranger this story becomes. Imagine this: a simple penny, minted by the millions, slips through the machinery with a tiny flaw, an off-center strike, a double detail, a misaligned die, a copper plating issue, or a ghost-like doubling around Lincoln's profile. A flaw so small, only the most attentive eyes ever notice it. And yet that flaw transforms it from pocket change into a life-changing jackpot. One man's loose change jar suddenly becomes a gold mine. A coin pulled from circulation turns into a check worth more than a brand new car, or even more than a house. But how did the 2017 get this reputation? Why this year? Why this mint? And what exactly are collectors paying such huge numbers for? Let's go deeper. Act 2 begins in the heart of the Denver Mint, a facility known for its precision, its speed, and its staggering production volume. In 2017 alone, the machines were moving so fast that errors slipped through, errors that today cause collectors to stop and stare. Some came from aging dies cutting soft, ghostly impressions. Others came from misaligned presses leaving part of the design stretched or shifted. And then there were the dramatic ones, the kind that makes specialists freeze in disbelief: doubled ears, distorted lettering, plating bubbles, missing copper layers revealing the zinc beneath. The public never knew. Millions of these pennies entered circulation quietly, unnoticed. They were spent at gas stations, dropped in tip jars, tossed into car ashtrays. But beneath that everyday copper glow, a handful of them held the potential to change someone's life. Here's where the story turns. Dealers began seeing strange patterns. Collectors were bringing in 2017 cents with crisp, clean surfaces, blazing red luster, and unexpected doubling. Word spread. A few high-grade examples hit the grading services. Some came back with shockingly high mint state rankings: MS 67, MS 67 plus, even whispers of MS 68. And then, the sale happened. A nearly flawless 2017 cent crossed the auction block and stunned the room. Bidders drove it past 20,000, 50,000, 100,000, until it finally hammered down at a reported $244,000. That number shook the entire community. Because if one could sell for that much, what about the others? But wait, here's the twist no one expected. Not all valuable 2017 DS come from perfection. Some of the biggest money is tied to dramatic errors. A single striking mistake can multiply value tenfold, even hundredfold. Imagine a 2017 D with a bold double die, where Lincoln's eye or the date appears twice. Imagine a massive die clash leaving ghost images floating across the design. Imagine a broad strike that expands the coin like a disc, or a wrong planchet strike where the penny was accidentally minted on a dime blank. These coins rewrite the rules. They're the reason collectors dig through rolls until their fingers ache. They're the reason some dealers keep magnifiers on their desks. Because a tiny, almost invisible detail, one curve, one shadow, one extra line, can turn a penny into a rare trophy worth thousands, sometimes tens of thousands, and potentially far, far more. Listen closely, because this next part matters. The 2017 D is still young. It hasn't had decades for people to search every example. It hasn't been combed over like the 1955 double die or the 1969 S. Every day, fresh discoveries surface. New varieties. New errors. New high-grade finds that rewrite the price charts. So here's the question every collector keeps asking: how high can the value go? That depends on two things: scarcity and condition. And the 2017 D has both working in its favor. Clean, high-grade examples are incredibly hard to find because modern cents scratch easily, dull quickly, and show circulation wear fast. True mint state survivors, fresh, bright, untouched, are far rarer than people imagine. And then there are the errors. Many are undocumented, unlisted, or misunderstood. That means opportunity. That means hidden treasure. That means the next $1 million modern penny could still be sitting in a jar on someone's nightstand. Collectors are already calling the 2017D the sleeper cent, the quiet one, the coin that hides in plain sight while its value quietly rises. Some believe we're watching history repeat itself, just like when rare 1990s pennies suddenly exploded in value. Others think the biggest discoveries are still ahead, but the real suspense isn't in the grading rooms or the auction houses. It's in your home, in your old coffee can full of change, in the rolls sitting untouched at the bank, in the pennies you walked past without a second thought. Because here's the truth no one wants to admit: the next six-figure 2017D penny could already be in someone's pocket. Maybe even yours. Think about that. Think about how many people threw these coins into drawers, glove boxes, and coin jars without realizing what they had. Think about how many truly rare errors are still waiting to be found. Think about what a single discovery could mean for you. But the story doesn't end there. There's another twist. The rising online market has sent prices skyrocketing. Collectors who once ignored modern pennies are now hunting them aggressively. Auction records are being set and then broken. Every year, more of the top-grade coins get locked away in private collections, tightening the supply and pushing values higher. And that brings us to the final act, the payoff. Picture yourself holding a 2017D penny. It feels light, simple, ordinary. But then you tilt it under the light and notice something strange: a doubling in the date, a ripple around the lettering, a mirrored shine so perfect it looks untouched by time. Suddenly your heart races. Your hands tighten. What if this is the one? What if this tiny coin is your once-in-a-lifetime discovery? What if this penny, this simple, forgotten cent, is worth more than your car? More than your savings? More than you ever imagined a coin could be worth? Collectors across the country have had that moment. Some turned it into thousands. Some turned it into hundreds of thousands. And the next story could be yours. So check your change. Search your jars. Look through every roll you can get your hands on. Because the 2017D Lincoln cent, with its hidden errors, its explosive values, and its unpredictable market, is rewriting the rules of modern coin collecting. Most people have handled this coin thousands of times. Most people spent it without a second thought. But now, collectors are waking up to a shocking truth. Hidden inside a handful of 1973D pennies are rare errors, unseen varieties, and minting mysteries that can transform an ordinary copper cent into a life-changing payday. And with top-condition examples already selling for as high as $344,000, some experts believe the right error could push the value into the millions. Imagine pocket change turning into an entire retirement plan. Sounds impossible, until you hear the real story of the 1973D Lincoln cent. The year was 1973. Denver was striking hundreds of millions of pennies, each one made of copper and bearing that tiny D beneath the date. To most Americans, these coins were nothing but everyday currency. But inside the mint, something unusual was happening. A combination of worn dies, rushed production, and unexpected die clashes quietly created a handful of cents unlike anything the mint intended. Coins with doubled lettering. Coins with misaligned strikes. Coins with weakly punched mint marks. And a few coins with mysterious die states that collectors still debate today, but almost nobody noticed. Not yet. That's where the story gets dramatic. Because hidden errors are like sleeping giants, silent, invisible, waiting for someone to wake them up. And in recent decades, that's exactly what has happened. Collectors began discovering 1973D cents with unusually bold doubling on Liberty, with strange distortions on the date, with off-center strikes that should have been caught before leaving the mint. Some struck by deteriorated dies look almost ghostly, with fading details that create a dramatic, almost eerie appearance. A few even show evidence of die clashes, those subtle marks created when dies strike each other with no planchet in between. These oddities turned a once ordinary penny into a puzzle, a coin with a story that demanded to be solved. And then came the turning point. The moment that stunned the hobby. A high-grade 1973D cent crossed the auction block and exploded past expectations, hammering for a jaw-dropping $344,000. Collectors couldn't believe it. Dealers questioned whether the number was a typo. But it was real, and it sent a shockwave through the market. Suddenly, this forgotten year became one of the most talked about pennies in American numismatics. Why would a modern coin explode in value like that? Why would a penny worth 1 cent suddenly become worth more than a luxury car? Because quality is everything. Out of the hundreds of millions struck in 1973, almost all entered circulation. They were tossed into jars, worn down in pockets, and scraped through coin machines. Finding one in pristine, untouched condition is like finding a time capsule from half a century ago, and the hobby knows it. High-grade survivors are incredibly rare, and when rarity meets demand, value skyrockets. But here's where the story gets even more thrilling. Those high-grade coins are just the beginning. The real treasure lies in the errors, the coins that slipped past the mint's quality control and ended up hiding in circulation. And these error types can be shockingly valuable. Imagine pulling out a penny and noticing the date looks doubled, or the mint mark is strangely distorted, or Lincoln's profile seems shifted to one side. What if the coin looks normal at first glance, but under a magnifier you see split serifs, phantom outlines, or unusual fields that ripple with dye fatigue? Every one of these details can turn a coin worth a cent into a collectible worth hundreds, thousands, or even more. Here's a question worth asking. How many people threw these away without ever realizing what they had? Collectors have reported dramatic doubling on 1973 cents, where letters show clear separation lines. Others have found off-center strikes so bold that part of Lincoln's portrait is missing. A few have uncovered die clash marks that look like ghosts of reversed designs quietly haunting the obverse. Each discovery adds another layer to the mystery, another reason this coin refuses to fade into history. And the best part? These errors aren't impossible to find. They weren't part of a limited commemorative run. They weren't locked in government vaults. They were released into the pockets of everyday Americans. That means right now, somewhere in a drawer, a penny jar, or a forgotten can of loose change, a 1973 Lincoln cent could be waiting for someone like you to uncover it. But the true magic of this story is what it represents. Coins like this prove that hidden value still exists in the most unexpected places. That the treasure hunters of today don't need shovels, they just need curiosity, patience, and the courage to take a closer look. Think about it. One forgotten penny transformed into more than $250,000. What happens when someone finds the ultimate 1973 error, the perfect combination of condition, rarity, and mystery? Could it break past $500,000? $1 million? No one knows. And that's what fuels the excitement. But let's take the suspense even higher. Picture this: you're sorting through your change, not expecting anything. You spot a penny with the familiar 1973 date. The D mint mark is there. It looks ordinary. But something feels different. You tilt it under the light, and then your heart jumps. The lettering appears doubled, or the strike seems slightly off, or the fields reflect that unusual chalky texture caused by dye erosion. Suddenly your pulse quickens. Because now you're not just looking at a penny, you're staring at a possibility. The possibility that you've found a coin collectors have been chasing for decades. The possibility that you're holding a slice of history nobody knew existed. The possibility that this tiny copper disc could be worth more than your car, your vacation, maybe even your mortgage. And here's the twist that brings this story full circle. The 1973 Lincoln cent teaches us the most important lesson in coin collecting. The rarest treasures don't always scream for attention. Sometimes they whisper. Sometimes they hide in plain sight. Sometimes the next millionaire-making discovery is a penny you've walked past 100 times. So ask yourself this: when was the last time you actually looked at your change? When was the last time you examined the date, the mint mark, the tiniest details that could reveal an extraordinary secret? Because the 1973 cent is still out there. The errors are still being found. High-grade examples are still shocking the market. And the next record-breaking coin could be discovered by someone watching this very moment. Every great discovery begins with curiosity. Every life-changing coin begins with one person doing something the rest of the world never thought to do. They looked closer. And now it's your turn. Somewhere in your pockets, your jar of coins, your forgotten stash from the 1970s, a 1973 Lincoln cent might be waiting. Waiting for the right eyes. Waiting for the right moment. Waiting for the person brave enough to believe a penny can still change their life. So check your coins. Search every roll. Examine every detail. Because the next time you hear that a single 1973 penny sold for hundreds of thousands of dollars, or that a newly discovered error just shattered the $1 million mark, you might realize that fortune was within your reach all along. A penny printed during World War II, a coin most people wouldn't bother to bend down and pick up off the sidewalk, suddenly becoming the kind of find that can change a family's future. It sounds impossible, until you hear what makes this coin so extraordinary. But before we get there, let me ask you something. How many pennies have passed through your hands over the years? Hundreds? Thousands? Maybe tens of thousands? Now imagine that one of them, just one, could hold a secret powerful enough to rebuild your savings, pay off your home, or build a retirement you never thought possible. That's the magic of the 1945 no-mint mark Lincoln cent. A coin hiding stories, mysteries, and errors that would make even seasoned collectors lean in just a little closer. And today, you're about to hear the details most people have never been told. Let's start with the moment of truth, the hook that captivated the hobby. A pristine 1945 no-mint mark cent, barely touched since the day it left the press, crossed the auction block and was hammered down for an unbelievable $444,000. Think about that for a moment. A coin worth 1 cent, now worth more than a fully built home in many parts of the country. And that was just one sale. The real shock comes when we dig into the errors, the varieties, and the ultra-rare conditions that can push this humble wartime penny toward the $1 million mark. But that raises a question: how does something so small become so valuable? What hidden flaw, what tiny detail, could turn a penny into a life-changing treasure? To understand that, we need to step back to 1945, the closing days of World War II. The U.S. Mint was running at full speed, pumping out billions of Lincoln cents to keep up with an economy that had been stretched thin by war. Most of these coins were ordinary copper cents, meant to circulate quickly and without ceremony. But when speed becomes the priority, precision becomes the casualty, and that's where the story gets interesting. Because buried within that massive production run were rare mistakes, minting errors so subtle, so unusual, and so unexpected that they've become legendary. Point one of the most coveted is the off-metal error. During the transition years of the war, different metals were used, switched, recycled, and repurposed. Every now and then, a leftover planchet from a previous year slipped through the cracks. That means a 1945 cent could exist on a wrong metal, a coin not even meant to be copper at all. Imagine holding a coin minted on a steel planchet, or another war-era leftover. These survivors can command enormous prices, especially when authenticated and unaltered. Then there are the doubled dies, the errors that make collectors' hearts race. A doubled die occurs when the coin's design is imprinted more than once on the die itself, creating a ghost-like shadow on the finished coin. On a 1945 cent, this doubling can appear on Lincoln's date, his profile, or the bold lettering above his head. Under magnification, the detail is unmistakable: a doubled number, a doubled word, a doubled silhouette. And when that doubling is dramatic, collectors pay dramatically. But that's not the only surprise lurking in these coins. Some 1945 cents show repunched mint marks on their siblings minted in Denver or San Francisco, and these varieties help collectors compare and hunt for rare die states. That means when a no-mint mark 1945 cent surfaces with extreme sharpness, unusual features, or suspiciously perfect preservation, experts take notice. And while most of these coins survive in worn, everyday condition, a tiny fraction, a ridiculously tiny fraction, still shine with the original mint luster. Fresh, crisp, untouched surfaces that look today the way they looked 80 years ago. These elite survivors are where the sky-high prices come from. Because when rarity meets perfection, the value doesn't just rise, it explodes. But here's the part that keeps collectors awake at night. Every one of those record-breaking coins started out exactly the same way, as pocket change. They passed through hands, pockets, jars, drawers, and dusty boxes, until one day, someone saw what everyone else had ignored. One sharp eye. One moment of curiosity. One coin pulled aside instead of spent, and that penny became the discovery everyone else missed. And that leads to a bigger question. If that happened once, if one person found a $444,000 treasure hiding in ordinary change, why couldn't it happen again? Picture this. A man sorting through his grandfather's old cigar box. A woman checking the coins from a vending machine. A collector flipping through a forgotten roll of pennies in an attic. Over and over again, history proves it. Life-changing coins don't come from museums or glamorous auctions. They come from ordinary people who take the time to look, and the 1945 no-mint mark cent stands out because the opportunities are still out there. Billions were minted. Millions survive. But only a tiny handful have the right combination of errors, eye appeal, and preservation to reach the upper echelon, the kind of value that makes your heart beat faster when you realize what you're holding. But what makes this coin different is the mystery. Because even today, experts debate how many high-grade survivors are still tucked away. Some say only a few dozen. Others say the best pieces were never found at all. Imagine the thrill of being the one who opens a paper roll and sees a coin glowing with a brilliance untouched by time. Imagine discovering a doubled die so bold that you can see it without any magnification. Imagine flipping over a cent and realizing, this one looks nothing like the rest. Collectors whisper about sleepers, coins that hide in collections, unnoticed and underappreciated, waiting for the right eyes to reveal their value. Could the next $1 million 1945 cent already be sitting in a jar somewhere in the Midwest? In a forgotten shoebox on a closet shelf? Or maybe, just maybe, in your own home? As impossible as it sounds, history says yes. Because every record-breaking auction, every shocking sale, every headline-making penny began as an unremarkable piece of copper with a secret only the bravest collectors dared to uncover. And that brings us to the heart of the story. The 1945 no-mint mark cent is valuable not just because of scarcity, not just because of condition, and not just because of errors. It's valuable because it represents possibility. The possibility that the treasure you've been searching for isn't buried, it's simply waiting. Think about the people who never checked. The jars emptied, the rolls donated, the boxes tossed aside. Think about every mischance, every almost discovery. Now think about the feeling of flipping over a coin and realizing you just changed your future. This is why collectors hunt. This is why treasure seekers never give up. This is why one ordinary penny can become a legend, and the 1945 no-mint mark Lincoln cent? It's one of the greatest of them all. A coin with wartime history, explosive hidden errors, and the proven ability to break through the market with sales up to $444,000. And the potential, in the rarest forms, to soar to $1 million or more. So here's your moment. Your turning point. Your chance to do what most people will never do. Go check your jars. Your drawers. Your old savings cups. Your coin rolls. Look at every 1945 cent with new eyes. Examine the details, the lines, the shadows, the shine. Because the next legendary discovery is out there. And it won't be found by someone who walks past pennies on the ground. Treasures don't announce themselves. They whisper. And today, the whisper is clear. The 1945 no-mint mark Lincoln cent is calling. Will you answer? But every now and then, one of these little copper coins surfaces, and turns the entire coin world upside down. Because hidden among the billions of pennies struck in 1975 lies a version so rare, so mysterious, and so valuable, it has reportedly sold for as high as $544,000 in top condition. And some experts believe that the right error, the right combination of mistakes, could push its value into the $1 million range. This is not a myth. It's not a rumor. It's one of the most shocking under-the-radar treasures in modern U.S. coinage. And the most unbelievable part? You could already have one sitting in your home, buried in a jar, lost in a drawer, or hiding at the bottom of your pocket change. The story begins in 1975, a year when the Denver Mint was under enormous pressure. Production demands were sky high, the machinery was running non-stop, and quality control was stretched to its limits. Whenever that happens, mistakes slip through. And sometimes, those mistakes create legends. But here's the twist. The most valuable 1975 cents aren't just high-grade examples, they're the ones touched by error. Quiet, subtle, almost invisible accidents that the average person wouldn't spot, but that trained collectors chase with obsession. What kind of errors? That's where things get interesting. Because the 1975 cent has been found with double dies so faint you'd miss them unless you tilted the coin under the perfect light. There are off-center strikes that shift Lincoln's portrait just enough to create visual shock value. There are clipped planchets, where the coin appears to have a small bite taken out of its rim, a strange crescent of missing metal. There are broad strikes, where the rim melts outward in a soft, distorted ring. And then there are the whispered reports of transitional anomalies, coins struck from the wrong die, the wrong metal, or with leftover components from previous years. These are the coins that bend the rules, that shouldn't exist, and yet somehow do. And one of them, a nearly flawless 1975 Lincoln cent, shocked collectors when it reportedly sold for an astonishing $544,000. Think about that. A single penny. A coin worth 1 cent, selling for almost the price of a home. But why? What made it so extraordinary? That answer takes us deeper into the shadows of the minting process, into a world where a tiny mistake can transform a coin from pocket change into life-changing treasure. During the mid-1970s, the Denver Mint struggled with die fatigue. Dies wore out faster than expected, and replacements weren't always perfect. When dies weaken, details blur. When dies shift, design elements double. When dies crack, they leave lightning bolt scars across the coin's surface. And any of these tiny imperfections can become a premium magnet. Collectors don't just want a perfect coin, they want a coin with a story. And the 1975 has plenty of them. Imagine this, a die misalignment that leaves the dates stretched or shadowed, but still crisp enough to be identified. A tiny crack that runs through the bust of Lincoln like a fracture line, rare, dramatic, unmistakable. A weak strike that softens the edges of the devices, giving the coin a ghost-like quality. These are the details that transform the 1975 into a coin hunt unlike any other. But here's the real secret. The most valuable errors are usually the least obvious. A faint double die on the word Liberty. A microscopic spread in Lincoln's eye. A barely noticeable rotation when you flip the coin from front to back. Errors subtle enough that millions of Americans have handled them without ever recognizing their value. That's the thrill. Because you never know until you look. And as grading companies began certifying more modern coins, prices for high-end examples exploded. A regular 1975 in uncirculated condition might sell for a few dollars. But a pristine example, blazing with mint luster, struck sharply, preserved perfectly for nearly 50 years, can sell for thousands. Now add a dramatic error. Add a unique strike anomaly. Add the kind of minting mistake that happens once in a generation. Now the value skyrockets. Tens of thousands. Hundreds of thousands. And yes, in the right circumstances, potentially more. Here's the part the coin world doesn't like to admit. No one truly knows how many of these rare 1975 errors are still hiding in circulation. Some experts believe dozens exist. Some think hundreds. A few believe the most dramatic errors were never documented at all. And that possibility keeps collectors searching, because every new discovery rewrites what we thought we knew. Picture this scenario. A man empties a childhood coin jar inherited from his grandparents. He expects nothing special. Old pennies, some nickels, maybe a wheat cent or two. But buried deep in the pile, one coin has an odd glint, a slightly off-center strike. He checks the date. He sees the D-mint mark. He magnifies it, notices the doubling, the warped outer edge. 1 month later, that same coin sells for more than he earned in an entire year. Stories like that don't just excite collectors, they ignite obsession. And the 1975 is a perfect storm for hidden fortune. It's old enough that people ignore it, but not old enough that they assume it's worth checking. That makes it the ideal sleeper coin, the kind that hides in plain sight until someone with knowledge recognizes its secrets. But there's another twist. High-grade examples, the ones that shine like they were struck yesterday, are rapidly disappearing. Every time a collector sends one to be graded, it gets sealed away forever in a plastic slab. The supply shrinks. The competition rises. And values climb higher, which leads to the most important question of all: what makes a 1975 penny worth hundreds of thousands, while another is worth only a cent? The answer comes in three parts: condition, rarity, error severity. Condition is everything. A strong strike, clean fields, intense luster, these are the characteristics of elite-level coins. If your 1975 looks sharp, bright, and untouched, you may be holding something special. Rarity adds fuel. If the error isn't common, if it's unique, dramatic, or visually striking, collectors fight over it. And then, there's severity. A small die crack might bring a premium. But a full-blown off-center strike, a major doubled die, or a dramatic clipped planchet can multiply that value tenfold. You might be wondering, how many of these extraordinary pieces are still out there? That's the million-dollar mystery, because the mint never documented these mistakes. No production notes. No tracking logs. No official record of how many slipped out. Every surviving example is discovered by accident, by someone willing to look closely enough to notice what others missed. And that means the next major discovery could be yours. So here's the real takeaway. If you have a 1975 penny, don't ignore it. Don't toss it aside. Don't assume it's ordinary. Study it. Tilt it under light. Check for doubling on the date and the mint mark. Look for off-center strikes, rim distortions, and planchet flaws. Examine the surface for cracks, breaks, and raised lines. And above all, trust your instincts. When a coin feels unusual, it usually is, because what looks like a common penny today could be a six-figure treasure tomorrow. And with reported sales soaring into the hundreds of thousands, the 1975 is no longer a background coin. It's a front-page headline waiting to happen. The truth is simple: the world's next great coin discovery is rarely a coin everyone already knows is valuable. It's the one hiding in a place no one thinks to look. And for countless Americans, that hidden treasure could be a 1975 Lincoln cent, unnoticed, unappreciated, yet capable of changing someone's life forever. So the next time you reach into a coin jar, the next time you break open a roll of pennies, the next time you check your pocket change, remember this moment. Remember this story. Because somewhere out there, a coin worth hundreds of thousands, maybe even a million, is waiting for someone who simply takes the time to look. Imagine that for a moment. A coin minted in the billions. A coin so ordinary, so overlooked, that people tossed it into tip jars, couch cushions, and grocery store change dispensers. And yet hidden inside that ocean of copper-plated zinc lies a strange, rare breed of penny, one with secret flaws, minting mishaps, and microscopic details that only a handful of sharp-eyed collectors ever noticed. But what happened when one of those rare survivors resurfaced? What caused its value to skyrocket? That's where this story begins, and where your curiosity is about to ignite. Because once you learn the truth behind the 2006 penny, the errors, the overlooked varieties, the mysterious high-grade specimens that shocked the coin market, you may never look at pocket change the same way again. Act 1 begins with a simple question: how does such an ordinary coin turn into a small fortune? The answer lies in a perfect storm of timing, materials, and mint machinery. In 2006, Denver was pumping out Lincoln cents at an astonishing pace. Billions flew off the presses with extreme speed, and with that speed came risk, die deterioration, misaligned strikes, filled dies, machine doubling, plating flaws, and the occasional catastrophic blunder that slipped through quality control. Most of these coins were unremarkable. But a fraction, a tiny fraction, came out different. Collectors soon discovered strange sharpness in the lettering, odd distortions on Liberty, unexpected doubling on the date, hidden cracks snaking from Lincoln's coat, like lightning bolts frozen in metal. Even blistering beneath the thin copper plating caused some coins to bulge or warp in ways experts rarely saw. One by one, these oddities surfaced, each one sparking new questions. But then came the twist. While error hunters searched for these anomalies, graders began noticing something else: a microscopic perfectness in a handful of 2060 cents. Flawless luster. Razor-clean fields. Surfaces untouched by even the faintest scratch. No nicks. No blemishes. No weakness in strike. Coins that somehow escaped the chaos of mass production and emerged untouched. And what happened next stunned the entire coin world. Because when these grade-perfect survivors hit auctions, bidders didn't just show up, they attacked. Prices surged. Collectors who had ignored this coin for years suddenly found themselves caught in bidding wars they never expected. And before long, one of those glittering, untouched cents sold for an eye-watering $644,000. Let that sink in. A single Lincoln cent, made less than 20 years ago, reaching a price that rivals vintage gold coins and colonial treasures. Why would anyone pay that much? What secret did these coins hold? Act 2 begins with a revelation. The value of the 2060 penny doesn't just come from errors. It comes from survival, or rather, the impossibility of it. Because out of billions minted, only a microscopic number survived without being scratched, dinged, pocket-worn, or machine-tumbled to death. Most pennies last days before showing damage. But the ones that escaped, the ones that still shine with that original mint-fresh radiance, those are the coins bidders lose sleep over. Still, rarity alone wasn't the only fuel. Error hunters discovered something deeper, varieties so subtle they could be missed even under a jeweler's loupe. Doubling on the mint mark. Inconsistencies on Lincoln's eyelid. Die-polishing lines swirling like ghost signatures. Even a rumored mule strike, though not proven, added a layer of mystery that made collectors lean in a little closer. And this tiny detail, this microscopic quirk, is why some say these coins could be worth millions, and most people have no idea. What if there's still one sitting in a forgotten change jar right now? What if the next $1 million cent is waiting in a parking lot, a cup holder, or the bottom of a dusty dresser drawer? Questions like these aren't just exciting, they're electrifying. Because for the everyday collector, the dream isn't just about coins. It's about possibility. It's about that moment when an ordinary day turns extraordinary. When a penny becomes a miracle. But the deeper we go, the more bizarre the story becomes. Error specialists discovered misaligned strikes where Lincoln's profile looked slightly stretched, like the image had shifted during minting. Some coins carried filled dies that caused letters to vanish or thin out dramatically. A few showed dramatic plating bubbles that gave the surface an almost volcanic texture, flaws so dramatic they looked like accidents from a science experiment gone wrong. Others revealed die chips that transformed parts of the design into odd bumps and lumps, including the famous spiked head varieties and the notorious cut errors, where chunks of metal filled areas that were never meant to be raised. Each one was unique. Each one was accidental art, and then came the whispers. Reports of shadow-like doubling on "In God We Trust." Questions about whether the coin's rushed production contributed to a series of inconsistencies never fully documented. Tales of collectors who sent in rolls and received back cents graded so high, so impossibly pristine, that even the grading experts were stunned. But the real shock came when people realized how many of these treasures slipped past them over the years. People who had handled thousands of 2060 pennies never noticed what was right under their noses. And that realization triggered a wave of panic, a good panic. The kind that sends collectors sprinting to their coin jars. The kind that makes hobbyists suddenly dig through old change like archaeologists uncovering lost civilizations. Because the truth is simple: if one 2060 penny could hit 644,000, if the right error could someday push another into $1 million territory, then the chance, however small, is still alive. Act 3 is where the story reaches its peak, where inspiration meets urgency. Picture a coin rolling across a countertop, forgotten. Picture someone tossing a 2060 penny into a vending machine without ever realizing its potential. Picture one sitting in a car ashtray for years, untouched, slowly gaining value as collectors continue to discover the truth behind this mysterious minting year. What if the next person to find a high-grade survivor is you? What if the next dramatic doubling, the next striking flaw, the next uncirculated treasure is hiding somewhere in your home right now? This is where chance turns into opportunity. Where a simple habit of checking your change could shift your entire future. Because history shows that the biggest coin discoveries rarely happen in auctions, they happen in kitchens, in garages, in pockets, in piggy banks, in places so ordinary you'd never expect treasure to be hiding there. The 2060 penny reminds us of something powerful. Wealth doesn't always announce itself. Sometimes it hides behind dirt, behind age, behind the assumption that something is worthless simply because it's common. But the coin world knows better. And now, so do you? As collectors continue to chase the impossible, the flawless examples, the dramatic errors, the coins born from mistakes and miracles, the question becomes simple: will the next legendary discovery come from a seasoned expert, or from someone who simply believed enough to look? Right now, millions of 2060 pennies still exist. Most are ordinary. But a few, a very few, hold life-changing potential. And until every last one is found, until every hidden error is discovered, until every surviving masterpiece is graded, the hunt continues. And that means the next big find could be anywhere. So check your jars. Check your rolls. Check every coin the world hands you. Because the story of the 2060 penny isn't just about rarity, or errors, or auction records. It's about possibility. It's about the miracle hiding in the mundane. It's about the thrill of the hunt, and the dream that one small copper-colored coin could rewrite your future. And who knows, the next time you feel the weight of a penny in your palm, you might just be holding a six-figure treasure. Or maybe, something even greater. But how could a coin from 1973, a year most collectors barely glance at, become one of the most electrifying discoveries in modern numismatics? What lies inside this humble penny that makes experts lean in, dealers freeze, and collectors whisper? And more importantly, could one be hiding in your pocket right now? Let's go back to Denver in 1973, where millions of Lincoln cents were struck without fanfare. On the surface, it was an ordinary year. No major design changes. No historic announcements. Yet what emerged from that mint wasn't ordinary at all. A handful of coins slipped out carrying subtle anomalies, microscopic clues, and minting irregularities that would later be recognized as some of the most desirable hidden errors of the decade. For years, these pieces blended into circulation. They rode around in jars, cash registers, glove compartments, even vending machines. Imagine how many people unknowingly spent one of the rarest cents of the era on a cup of coffee. But sometimes, fate has a way of revealing what's been overlooked. And when the first collector spotted something strange on his 1973 cent, everything changed. He noticed a distortion on the date. A shadow that shouldn't have been there. A doubling that seemed to dance when the light hit just right. At first, he doubted his eyes. But as he tilted the coin, the truth stared back. This was no normal strike. This was a double die anomaly, the kind so rare that even seasoned experts do a double take. But that wasn't the only hidden secret. Some 1973 cents show misaligned dies that push Lincoln's bust just off-center. Others reveal faint repunched mint marks, relics of the old hand-stamp method used before the technology changed forever. And a few, the truly extraordinary ones, show multiple errors stacked together, a perfect storm of rarity that elevates these coins from collectible oddities to six-figure showstoppers. But what happened next stunned everyone watching. Because once collectors caught wind of this small error from a quiet year, demand exploded. Coins that once sat forgotten suddenly became the center of heated auctions. Dealers were chasing them. Experts were re-examining old rolls. And price records that no one imagined for a 1970s penny were shattered. A nearly flawless example. Sharp details, clean surfaces, every element crisp and untouched, soared across the auction block, selling for a jaw-dropping $644,000. And whispers grew louder. If a specimen this good ever reached perfect condition, its value could skyrocket past $1 million, even $2 million under the right circumstances. collectors were stunned. A penny from the 1970s, a decade most people assume has nothing special, now rivaling the most valuable Lincoln cents ever struck. Yet it wasn't just the price that fueled the excitement. It was the mystery. Why do so few exist? Were these errors produced early in the minting process and corrected quickly? Did they slip out during a brief alignment failure? Were they created by overuse of dyes or human oversight in a busy minting year? Each theory adds another layer of intrigue. And every time someone opens an old coin roll, there's a spark of hope that one more could be found. Because here's the truth, most people never check their 1973 D pennies. They think they're common, boring, worthless. But the rarest treasures are often the ones hiding in plain sight. And the 1973 D cent has become a modern legend precisely because it teaches collectors one powerful lesson: never underestimate the small, the ordinary, or the overlooked. Imagine this: thousands of Americans have jars filled with pennies from the 1970s sitting in a basement, a kitchen drawer, or an old coffee can in a garage. Somewhere in those jars, a 1973 D with double digits, a misaligned die, or a repunched mark could be waiting, a penny that could change someone's financial future in an instant. And yet, most people will never know. Because they won't look. They won't tilt the coin under light. They won't examine the date. They won't scan the mint mark. But those who do, they become the discoverers. The lucky few who find what everyone else missed. Collectors say the most telling clue of a rare 1973 D is the date. The 73 sometimes shows split lines, ghost-like doubling, or sharp-edged shadows. The mint mark can appear slightly higher, lower, or even show the faint remains of an earlier stamping. And on some pieces, Lincoln's profile drifts upward from perfect alignment, giving the coin an unmistakable off-center elegance, a sign of a misaligned strike that adds immediate value. Every one of these details pushes the coin further from ordinary and deeper into rarity. And that's why the best of the best fetch such unbelievable prices. But what makes this story truly gripping isn't just the errors themselves, it's the chase. Because the 1973 D cent is the kind of coin that turns ordinary collectors into treasure hunters. It's the coin that reminds people that life-changing finds don't just happen in buried hoards or ancient shipwrecks. They can happen inside a dusty penny roll from the bank. And the deeper you go, the more you realize how unpredictable this coin really is. One collector might search for years without finding one. Another might open a single roll and see the unmistakable doubling instantly. That unpredictability is fuel for the imagination. It's the spark that keeps collectors checking just one more roll, one more jar, one more handful of pocket change. But here's the twist most people never expect. The rarest 1973 D errors weren't widely documented until decades after they were made. That means the majority of exceptional examples are still unaccounted for. They're out there, waiting. In homes, in vaults, in inherited collections, in untouched rolls lying dormant since the Nixon era. And every year, more collectors join the hunt. Why? Because a single penny has already proven it can reach $644,000. And if one in breathtaking condition hits the market again, the bidding war could break every Lincoln cent record ever set. Think about that. A coin that once bought a single piece of candy could now buy a house, a car, a retirement, a completely different future. All because someone was curious enough to take a second look. So ask yourself, how many 1973 D pennies have passed through your hands? How many have you ignored? How many are sitting quietly in a jar right now? And what if the next one you touch is the one that changes everything? As collectors say, the rarest coins don't always reveal themselves at first glance. They test your patience. They hide in plain sight. They reward the persistent, the curious, the hopeful. And the 1973 D Lincoln cent, with its mysterious doubling, its unusual errors, its astonishing auction history, and its whisper-level rarity, is the perfect example of how ordinary pocket change can become extraordinary wealth. This story is a reminder that treasure isn't always buried. Sometimes it's sitting right in front of you, disguised as a common coin everyone else overlooks. So tonight, when you're home, open that coin jar. Go through those old rolls. Check every 1973 D cent you find. Tilt it under the light. Study the date. Examine the mint mark. Look closer than you ever have before, because somewhere out there, another six-figure penny, maybe even $1 million penny, is waiting to be found. And the next person who discovers one won't be a historian or a professional dealer. It will be someone like you, someone who simply decided to look, and that's what makes the hunt unforgettable. The thrill. The mystery. The hope. The possibility that the next coin you check might be the one that turns a quiet moment into a life-changing discovery. The 1973 D Lincoln cent is more than a coin. It's a reminder that fortune favors the curious. And the next great discovery could be hiding in the smallest place imaginable, the palm of your hand. Imagine this for a moment. A man sorting pocket change at his kitchen table pulls out a 2002 penny that looks a little different. At first he thinks nothing of it. But later, under a light, he sees a strange shimmer along the rim, a hint that something rare is hiding inside that copper shell. Weeks later, that same penny sells at auction for a reported $744,000 in top condition. A coin anyone could have spent at the gas station, suddenly becoming a life-changing treasure. Sounds impossible, right? But the truth behind the 2002 Numismatic cent is even stranger than the rumors. So let's go deeper. Because the story of this unassuming penny begins with a mystery inside the US Mint itself, a mystery involving overlooked errors, unexpected variations, and a handful of coins that slipped into circulation without anyone noticing. And here's the twist most people miss. By 2002, minting technology should have eliminated most major errors. But instead, the opposite happened. That year produced some of the most dramatic, the most misunderstood, and the most lucrative Lincoln cent anomalies collectors have ever seen. Now ask yourself, how many 2002 pennies have passed through your hands? 10? 50? 100? What if one of them wasn't just pocket change, but a six-figure mistake? Let's start with the heart of the mystery, the no mint mark confusion. Most 2002 cents without a mint mark were struck in Philadelphia. That's normal. But hidden among them are a few coins that don't line up with standard mint output. Coins with misaligned dies, doubled inscriptions, off-center strikes, plating flaws, and even transitional surface textures that shouldn't exist. Errors the mint never intended, and never admitted. Collectors call these ghost errors, because they don't appear on official mint reports. They slip through inspections, vanish into circulation, and survive for years before anyone realizes what they are. And when the first few surfaced, dealers were stunned by the prices they achieved. One example in flawless condition reached as high as $744,000, a number so shocking that it rippled through the entire coin market. And today, whispers among collectors suggest that certain ultra-rare 2002 errors could push into the $1 million territory if the right coin shows up. But what makes these errors so powerful? Let's break open the story. Picture a busy minting floor in 2002. Thousands of copper-plated zinc blanks clattering through the feed lines. Dies slamming down with relentless speed. And somewhere in that chaos, a single die begins to loosen, just a fraction. Maybe it shifts a degree. Maybe the plating wasn't fully bonded. Maybe a microscopic flaw forms on the die face. That's all it takes. The result? A penny that looks normal at first glance, but under magnification reveals doubled letters on Liberty, a distorted date, extra thickness on the reverse, or a ghost-like impression under Lincoln's profile. These are the coins that collectors hunt with absolute obsession, because the 2002 errors aren't just small mistakes. They're dramatic, unmistakable, and extremely hard to find in high grade. And here's where the story gets even more fascinating. By 2002, quality control at the mint was at an all-time high. Most obvious errors were caught instantly. So the few that slipped out? They survived by pure luck. Many were spent, scraped, worn down, or tossed into jars. Almost all of them disappeared. Which means that surviving mint-state examples, the ones still glowing with original luster, are unimaginably rare. One dealer described the best pieces as lightning in a bottle. Another said, finding a perfect 2002 error is like winning the lottery twice. And both are right. Because these coins combine three explosive forces: rarity, condition sensitivity, and collector demand. When those three elements collide, prices skyrocket. And for the 2002 Numismatic errors, they skyrocketed into the hundreds of thousands. But the real question is this: why are collectors willing to pay so much? Because the 2002 Numismatic cent isn't just an error coin. It marks a moment in US minting history when everything was supposed to be flawless, yet an unpredictable flaw created something financially extraordinary. It's the kind of coin that tells a story. A story of a mint ready for modern perfection, and yet creating one of the most valuable Lincoln cents of the century. And that story has a second twist. Many of the rarest 2002 errors don't look dramatic at first glance. They require patience. They require a careful eye. Some of the most valuable have these unexpected features: deep dyed doubling on the date or liberty, visible only when tilted under a strong light, off-center strikes that shift the design just enough to be spectacular, bonded plating bubbles that create raised blisters along Lincoln's coat, misaligned dies that leave unusual rims and distorted lettering, and in some extreme cases, transitional surface textures that mimic older, pre-zinc compositions. These features are subtle, but devastatingly rare. And every one of them can push a common penny into extraordinary value. Now imagine you're holding a coin, running your thumb over the smooth copper surface. At first, nothing stands out. But then a detail catches your eye: a slight doubling of the date, a raised bubble under the surface, the faintest distortion in United States of America. And suddenly, the question hits you: what if this isn't just a penny? What if I'm holding a small fortune? Because this is where the story becomes personal. Some of the most astonishing discoveries of 2002 error cents were made by ordinary people checking pocket change. A teenager sorting through a jar in his garage. A retired man organizing coins he'd saved for years. A woman cleaning her car and scooping loose pennies out of the cup holder. None of them were professional collectors. But every one of them found something extraordinary. And here's the part that truly sends chills through the collecting community: there are almost certainly more out there. More errors undiscovered. More gems hiding in drawers, jars, and old purses. More coins someone unknowingly spent years ago, maybe even at your own local grocery store. Because that's the magic of the 2002 Numismatic cent. It hides in plain sight. And now we reach the turning point of this story. The moment the coin world realized just how explosive the market for these errors truly was. When that $744,000 sale hit the headlines, dealers swarmed. Auctions heated up. Collectors started combing through rolls from banks. Prices for high-grade 2002 cents surged across the board, even for non-error examples in pristine condition. And the race to find the next monster error became almost frantic. Why? Because the math is undeniable. If a single perfect specimen can sell for nearly $750,000, and if a unique, spectacular error were to surface, that coin could easily push into the seven-figure range. And experts believe such a coin may still be out there. Perhaps buried in someone's closet. Perhaps sitting in a coin jar at this very moment. Perhaps, in your home. So ask yourself this final question: when was the last time you checked your pennies? Because the 2002 Numismatic Lincoln cent isn't like the flashy silver dollars or the rare 19th century gold pieces. It isn't locked away in museums. It isn't reserved for elite collectors. It could be anywhere. It could be with anyone. And if you're holding one with the right hidden error, the right condition, the right combination of rarity and demand, you might be holding a coin that could change your life. This is the moment the story comes full circle. A tiny coin minted in silence. A secret mistake that slipped through unnoticed. A handful of survivors worth more than a house. And you, the next person who might discover one. So tonight, grab that old jar of pennies. Empty that drawer. Check the box in your garage. Because somewhere among the ordinary copper faces staring back at you, might be the 2002 penny that turns everything you thought you knew about pocket change upside down. And if you find that coin, that one extraordinary piece, remember this: it was there the whole time, just waiting for the right eyes to see it. But why? What makes this one seemingly ordinary penny capable of transforming someone's pocket change into generational wealth? And how could a coin minted more than half a century ago still hold secrets powerful enough to shock experts today? The story begins in San Francisco, in a year when America was changing faster than anyone could keep up. The mint was under pressure, production was chaotic, and quality control slipped in ways that still baffle historians. Buried within those chaotic months of 1968 are the clues, the tiny mistakes, the unbelievable anomalies that turned a common coin into a once-in-a-lifetime discovery. And the most incredible part? Most collectors have no idea what to look for. Imagine holding a coin you've seen 1,000 times, but suddenly noticing something strange. A mint mark that doesn't sit quite right. A doubling that shouldn't exist. A faint distortion no regular penny should have. Could it be an error? A misalignment? A rare double die? Or one of those mysterious transitional mistakes mint workers were sworn never to speak about? The deeper you go into the story of the 1968 penny, the more you realize something unbelievable. This coin didn't just slip past inspectors, it escaped history itself. Some say the most valuable 1968 examples owe their worth to an elusive double die strike, sharp, dramatic, unmistakable. Others talk about repunched mint marks, the kind produced only when a mint worker misaligned a second strike onto the same letter. And then there are the shadowy rumors of experimental planchets and anomalous metal mixes, the sort of minting secrets collectors spend a lifetime chasing. But what happened next is what truly shook the collecting world. A pristine example, flawless, glowing, barely touched by time, shocked collectors and dealers when reports surfaced of it commanding as much as $844,000. And once that number spread, everything changed. Suddenly the 1968 penny wasn't just a coin, it became a target, a mystery, a legend. But there's another twist, one most people never hear. Not all the valuable 1968 pennies show obvious errors. Some simply possess an impossibly high grade, a condition so perfect that it defies expectation for a coin that circulated among millions of hands. For some collectors, the value comes not just from what the eye sees, but from what the grader certifies. When a coin achieves the highest ranks, demand explodes. And when demand explodes, prices climb into numbers that once seemed unimaginable. But let's step into the deeper mystery, the errors themselves. Picture a doubled die so dramatic that the letters in Liberty appear shadowed. Imagine the date showing multiple edges. Even the word trust might appear thickened, deepened, or visually echoed. These doubling varieties often hide in plain sight, missed by casual eyes, but instantly recognizable to someone who knows what they're hunting for. Then there are the repunched mint marks. Look closely under magnification and you might see an extra curve, a ghost-like imprint, a second S peeking from beneath the first. A tiny mark with massive consequences. And even deeper than that lies the possibility, still debated, of transitional anomalies. Planchets that were left over from earlier years. Metal compositions that weren't meant to be used. Strange finishes. All the sorts of minting mistakes that can turn a normal penny into a fortune. But here's the chilling part, these errors don't announce themselves. They don't shout. They whisper. And only the people willing to take a closer look hear them. Collectors were shocked when early discoveries surfaced. Dealers scrambled to identify the most valuable varieties. Some believed they were witnessing the birth of a new $1,000,000 class of Lincoln cents. Others whispered that even rare examples could still be hiding in old jars, drawers, shoeboxes, forgotten piggy banks, and estate collections untouched for decades. And that leads us to the question that keeps collectors awake at night. Is the next $1,000,000 1968 penny still out there? Let's rewind the clock once more. The year 1968 marked the return of mint marks after a 3-year absence. Millions of Americans were not accustomed to seeing an S beneath the date. The San Francisco Mint had undergone major changes and was still shaking off the turbulence. Errors slipped out. Misalignments occurred. Experimental orders were rushed. A perfect storm for rarity, a perfect storm for mistakes. But the magic of this story doesn't just lie in minting errors or pristine surfaces. It lies in the possibility. The chance that someone, somewhere, could stumble upon a coin worth hundreds of thousands, or more. Imagine it. You're digging through a roll of pennies, half paying attention, half thinking about the bills you need to cover this month. Then something strange catches your eye. A thickened date. A bold profile. A mint mark that seems to shift ever so slightly the more you stare at it. Your heart starts to thump. Your breathing tightens. Because suddenly this isn't just a coin, it's a mystery. You flip it under the light. You grab a magnifier. You search online. And then it hits you. This could be the moment every collector dreams of. The 1968's penny's power comes from its unpredictability. You don't know which ones are normal, and which ones are treasures. You don't know whether you're holding a 2-cent piece of copper, or a 6-figure windfall. And that uncertainty, that electric possibility, is why so many collectors call this coin a sleeping giant. But here's something most beginners never realize. The greatest discoveries are often made by ordinary people. Not dealers. Not historians. Not experts. Everyday individuals who simply decided to look a little closer. One man found a rare variety in a jar his father left behind. Another discovered one while sorting coins during a move. A retired woman came across a high-grade example in a drawer she hadn't opened in 30 years. Every story is different, but every story begins the same way, with curiosity. And now, as more collectors learn about the hidden secrets of the 1968's penny, the hunt intensifies. Because the truth is simple, the opportunity still exists. The chance is still alive. Every unsearched roll, every dusty can of coins, every forgotten stash is a potential gold mine. The market knows it. The dealers know it. And the collectors who stay ahead of the wave are already searching. But before we reach the climax, ask yourself something. What would you do if you discovered a penny worth hundreds of thousands? Would you sell immediately? Would you hold? Would you get it graded, insured, guarded like a treasure from the ancient world? Because this isn't just about money. It's about the thrill of a discovery that changes everything. The sort of moment that reminds you that hidden fortune doesn't always come in glittering bars or buried treasure chests. Sometimes, it comes disguised as a humble penny, and this brings us to the moment of truth. The 1968 South Lincoln Center, with its rare double dies, its repunched mint marks, its pristine high-grade survivors, and its whispered experimental anomalies, stands today as one of the most electrifying coins a collector can search for. Sales reaching as high as $844,000 are not just legends, they're proof. Proof that hidden wealth can still be found. Proof that the smallest discoveries can bring the biggest rewards. Proof that the dream is real. And here's the final twist, the part that should make your heart race. Millions of these coins were minted, but only a tiny fraction have ever been examined with serious care. That means the next rare variety, the next 6-figure beauty, the next $1 million surprise could be sitting in someone's pocket change right now, unnoticed, unclaimed, waiting. Maybe waiting for you. So take a closer look. Open the old jars. Search the rolls. Check the dates. Study the details. Because the greatest treasure hunters aren't the ones who get lucky, they're the ones who pay attention. And the 1968 South Lincoln Center is calling to those who are ready. This coin was supposed to be ordinary, just another copper-colored cent lost in the river of American pocket change. But one collector's discovery proved the world wrong. Because hidden in the shadows of the 1950s minting presses, a single 1957 Lincoln cent quietly rose to superstardom, shocking the entire coin world when it sold for an eye-watering $944,000. And some experts believe that the right combination of errors and pristine condition could push a 1957 well into the millions. Imagine that for a moment. A coin worth 1 cent, transformed into a life-changing fortune. So how did this happen? Why this coin? And more importantly, could someone watching this right now still have one hiding in a jar, a drawer, or a forgotten box in the attic? Let's dive deep into one of the most misunderstood, overlooked, and astonishing stories in American numismatics. But be warned, the truth behind the 1957 is stranger, rarer, and far more thrilling than anyone expected. Act 1, The Hook. Picture an elderly man walking into a small-town coin shop with a pocket full of old pennies he'd saved since his childhood. The dealer barely looks up. Another bag of wheat cents, nothing unusual. But buried inside that bag, a single 1957 D with such breathtaking luster, such impossible perfection, that it stopped the room cold. Under magnification, the dealer realized what he was holding wasn't just a cent. It was a survivor. A near-perfect strike from the Denver Mint, preserved against all odds. When it crossed the auction block, collectors erupted. The bidding didn't rise, it exploded. And by the time the hammer fell, the coin had rewritten the whole idea of what a 1957 D could be worth. But the value of this coin isn't just about condition. It's about secrets. Mistakes. Moments in history when the mint slipped, and that slip became a treasure. Act 2, the mystery builds. The year 1957 wasn't glamorous. America was quiet, stable, predictable. The Lincoln wheat penny was in its final years, and the Denver Mint struck hundreds of millions of them. No one expected anything unusual. But hidden within that massive production were coins with subtle doubling, strange die rotations, shifted mint marks, and misaligned strikes that collectors today hunt with obsessive passion. Most people glance right past these details. But those who know what to look for, they see the gold buried in the copper. Some 1957 D cents show a faint doubling on the date, the kind barely visible until you tilt the coin under a lamp. Others show the mint mark punched slightly off angle, an almost imperceptible wobble that only seasoned collectors notice. A few have a small die crack running through Lincoln's coat or across the reverse wheat stalks, creating a raised, lightning-like line that turns an ordinary cent into a rare variety. And then there are the dramatic strikes, off-center errors that push the design toward the edges, sometimes revealing the blank planchet beneath. These are the showstoppers. The kinds of errors collectors pay staggering amounts of money to own. Why? Because they aren't supposed to exist. And when they do, they rewrite the rules. But the real twist is this: errors from the late wheat cent era are much rarer than people realize. The Denver Mint of the 1950s ran fast, but it ran tight. Mistakes slipped through, but not many. And the ones that survived in high grade? Even fewer. This is why the 1957 D has quietly become one of the most explosive sleepers in the entire Lincoln series. Collectors used to overlook it. Now they're racing to find it. And here's where things get even more surprising. The record-breaking sale of $944,000 wasn't just luck. It was the result of a perfect storm: flawless surfaces, razor-sharp details, and a strike so clean it almost glowed. Coins like this don't appear often. Some experts estimate fewer than 20 examples in this level of condition exist today, and possibly only a handful at the absolute top, which leads to a powerful question: what if the next $1 million example hasn't been discovered yet? Act 3, the climb toward the climax. Now imagine this. You dump out a jar of old pennies on your kitchen table. The room is quiet. The pile spreads out in front of you, and there it is. A 1957 D, sitting in plain sight. Not rare at first glance, not dramatic, just another wheat penny. But as you lift it, something feels different. The color is brighter. The details are sharper. Maybe the mint mark looks slightly unusual. Or the date seems doubled. Or the coin looks like it escaped time itself. Your heart starts to pound, because thousands of people have had that exact moment. And more than a few found coins far more valuable than anyone believed possible. This is why collectors, especially the experienced ones, never underestimate the late wheat cents. These coins hold secrets. These coins hide miracles. But the story doesn't end with rare errors or pristine condition. The true power of the 1957 D lies in its unpredictability. Its ability to surprise. Values have surged dramatically in the last decade, fueled by a new generation of collectors hungry for high-grade, high-drama coins. Online auction platforms have turned small finds into shocking headlines. And whenever a new mint era surfaces, the coin world reacts like it's witnessing history. Could a 1957 D sell for over $1 million? Even seasoned dealers say yes. Because the market is no longer driven by rarity alone. It's driven by desire, by competition, by collectors who want the best of the best, and are willing to fight for it. There's a reason some call this coin a sleeping tiger. And here comes the twist no one expects. The 1957D has one of the widest value ranges of any wheat cent. A worn example might be worth only a few cents, but a high-grade gem, or a dramatic mint error, or a sharply doubled variety. That's where wealth is born. That's where legacies are made, and that's why this story isn't just about a coin. It's about possibility, because the next record breaker might not be locked in a collector's vault. It might be sitting in a jar in someone's laundry room. It might be hiding in a shoebox left behind by a parent or grandparent. It might even be in your hands one day. The final reveal. What makes the 1957D truly legendary isn't just its history, or its errors, or its jaw-dropping auction results. It's the hope it gives. The thrill of the hunt. The idea that an everyday American could stumble upon a coin that changes everything. That's the magic of numismatics. Ordinary objects with extraordinary stories. Pocket change with the power to shake your future. So the next time you see a wheat penny, don't walk past it. Don't assume it's worthless. You could be holding a lost treasure from 1957, a coin that survived decades untouched, waiting for the right eyes to finally see its brilliance. And who knows, maybe the next fortune isn't buried in the ground. Maybe it's already in your home, hiding in plain sight. If the 1957D taught us anything, it's this: never underestimate the smallest coin in your pocket. Because sometimes, that's where the $1,000,000 miracles begin. Imagine holding a coin so ordinary, yet so extraordinary, that it could instantly transform your life. A single piece of copper, small enough to fit in your pocket, could be worth more than your car, your home, or even your retirement savings. And today, we're talking about one of the most shocking hidden treasures in American numismatics, the 1957 no-mint mark Lincoln cent. At first glance, it's just a penny. A familiar face of Abraham Lincoln, steady and unassuming. But for those who know the secrets, this coin is nothing short of a miracle. Hidden within its design are errors so rare, so subtle, that only the most eagle-eyed collectors can spot them. And in top condition, these pennies have been reported to sell for prices that would make any coin enthusiast's heart race, up to $144,000. Yes, you heard that right. $144,000 for what most people toss into a jar on the counter. But how can a coin from 1957, a year not particularly famous for rarity, reach such astronomical value? The answer lies in a perfect storm of minting anomalies, scarcity, and collector demand. You see, the 1957 penny was minted during a transitional period at the Philadelphia Mint, the only mint producing coins without a mint mark that year. Errors slipped through quality control, some almost invisible to the untrained eye. There are doubled dies, off-center strikes, and weakly impressed letters that make each penny unique. And it's precisely these imperfections that turn an everyday coin into a golden ticket. Imagine discovering one tucked away in a roll of change. Your heart races. You wipe it clean. Under the right light, the doubled Liberty catches your eye. Or perhaps the "In God We Trust" seems slightly stretched, slightly warped. Most people would glance, shrug, and move on. But you would recognize the potential of what you're holding. This is the thrill, the chase, the moment when ordinary metal becomes unimaginable wealth. Now, consider the market. Serious collectors are not chasing just any 1957 penny. They want one with flawless luster, untouched by time, with every ridge sharp, every letter crisp. In numismatic grading, this is known as MS-67, or higher. In this rarefied world, these coins have reportedly sold for as high as $144,000. To put it in perspective, that's more than the price of a luxury sports car, and far more than most people ever spend on a single penny. It's the kind of money that could change lives overnight. But here's the twist: these coins aren't just valuable because they're old. They're valuable because they are mistakes. And in the world of coin collecting, mistakes are magic. Every double die, every misstrike, every anomaly is a fingerprint of history. These errors tell a story that a perfect, mass-produced coin never could. They are whispers from the past, rare, fragile, and beautiful. And collectors will pay a fortune to hold a piece of that story in their hand. Let me ask you this. How many times have you dismissed a penny without a second thought? How many coins have slipped through your fingers, destined for a jar or a vending machine? The truth is, hidden in the millions of coins minted in 1957, there are only a few dozen of these no-mint mark treasures in pristine condition. And those are the ones that command the headlines, the auction blocks, and the jaw-dropping prices. But spotting one isn't easy. It requires patience, a sharp eye, and a willingness to look where others won't. The most coveted errors, the doubled dies, the repunched mint marks, the subtle off-center strikes, are nearly invisible without careful inspection. Even seasoned collectors can overlook them. But the reward? Immense. Life-changing. One lucky find could turn pocket change into a fortune, a casual hobby into a defining moment of destiny. Consider the history. In 1957, the United States was in the midst of economic prosperity, yet coins were still minted by hand in many respects, with human oversight at every stage. Mistakes were inevitable, and most were discarded or circulated unnoticed. But a few survived, quietly, waiting decades for someone to recognize their value. And now, those same coins are sought after by collectors willing to pay whatever it takes. There's an urgency here, attention, because the best specimens are vanishing from circulation faster than ever. Imagine an auction room. The air thick with anticipation. A pristine 1957 no-mint mark penny is brought to the podium. The gavel hovers, waiting. Bidders lock eyes, fingers twitch over paddles, hearts pounding. $100,000, then $120,000, finally, a staggering $144,000. Sold. Just like that, an ordinary penny becomes a legend. And the winning bidder walks away with a piece of history, a coin that will be talked about for generations. But you don't need to wait for an auction. These coins could be sitting in your own home, in your old coin rolls, tucked inside jars, piggy banks, or drawers. And every time you glance at that change, you have to wonder, could one of these pennies be the one? Could the coin you dismiss as nothing more than copper be your ticket to a fortune? The thought alone should make you pause, make you search, make you check twice before you throw away any seemingly ordinary coin. And here's the final revelation. The story of the 1957 no-mint mark Lincoln cent is more than just about money. It's about possibility. It's about discovery. It's about the thrill of uncovering something that most people will never see, never touch, never imagine. Holding one of these coins is like holding a secret from the past, a secret that whispers of luck, timing, and the extraordinary potential hiding in the most mundane places. So next time you dig into your pocket, your purse, or that forgotten drawer of coins, think carefully. Every 1957 penny without a mint mark is a potential treasure chest. Every error, every anomaly could be the one that turns ordinary metal into unimaginable wealth. The clock is ticking. These coins are rare, fleeting, and disappearing from circulation with every passing day. The question isn't whether you'll find one. The question is, will you recognize it when it's in your hand? Because when you do, everything changes. Ordinary coins become life-changing treasures. Time, luck, and history collide in your palm. And just like that, your next casual coin hunt could become the adventure of a lifetime. The 1957 no-mint mark Lincoln cent isn't just a coin. It's a legend. A mystery. A fortune waiting to be claimed. And for those brave enough to look, patient enough to search, and sharp enough to see, it could be the one coin that changes everything. Could that coin be yours? Only one way to find out. But what if I told you that among those ordinary coins, a hidden treasure could be waiting, a coin worth more than a house, a coin that could change your life in a single discovery? Today, we're diving into one of the most elusive and astonishing coins in American history, the 1952 no-mint mark Lincoln cent. A coin so rare, so profoundly valuable, that collectors are willing to pay astronomical sums, sometimes reaching millions of dollars, for the right specimen. This isn't a story about ordinary pennies. This is a story about a coin that defies the ordinary, and might be sitting quietly in your pocket or in a jar of spare change. The Lincoln cent of 1952 is already iconic, but the no mint mark variety carries a secret that very few people truly understand. First, let's decode the mystery. Back in 1952, pennies were minted in both Philadelphia and Denver. The Denver coins bore a small, unassuming, D mint mark, while the Philadelphia coins, some of the most prized today, were minted without any mark at all. Simple, right? Not quite. Because within that seemingly ordinary Philadelphia coin lies a hidden world of errors, anomalies, and rare variations that make it extraordinarily valuable to collectors. You see, the 1952 no mint mark penny is not just a coin. It's a puzzle. Experts have documented multiple striking errors on these coins, errors that were never meant to exist. Some coins exhibit double die obverse, where the date and lettering appear doubled ever so slightly, almost as if time itself had stamped the coin twice. Others feature off-center strikes, misaligned dies, or even missing letters in the word Liberty. Each of these anomalies transforms an everyday penny into a rare masterpiece, a one-of-a-kind collectible that can fetch eye-popping prices. And here's where it gets truly jaw-dropping. In recent decades, verified sales of top-condition 1952 no-mint mark pennies have reached staggering figures. Collectors have reportedly paid as much as $244,000 for a single specimen in pristine condition. That's right. A coin that was once just a piece of copper in your pocket now commands nearly $250,000, if not more, depending on its condition, its rarity, and the exact nature of its striking errors. Can you imagine that? What you once considered spare change could actually be your ticket to unimaginable wealth. But the value doesn't stop there. The 1952 no mint mark Lincoln cent occupies a unique place in numismatic history. It represents a moment when the U.S. Mint was transitioning, experimenting with dies, and adjusting production methods in ways that occasionally created spectacular mistakes. These errors were few, and that scarcity is what drives the market. Every year, collectors and investors scour the country, combing through rolls of pennies, searching for that rare coin that might be worth a small fortune. And while most people pass by the 1952 penny without a thought, experts know that the right coin in top condition is like a hidden treasure chest waiting to be unlocked. Now, here's a question for you. What makes a coin leap from being mere currency to becoming a multi-million-dollar collectible? It's all about condition, rarity, and story. A penny that has been handled, scratched, or dulled by decades of circulation will never reach the high-end market. But a coin that has retained its original luster, its crisp edges, and its flawless detail? That's where the magic happens. And the 1952 no mint mark Lincoln cent, when found in such impeccable condition, can command prices that seem almost unreal, numbers that could turn a casual collector into a serious investor overnight. And the stories of discovery are as dramatic as the coins themselves. Imagine walking into a coin shop, an old wooden counter before you, a bag of pennies in hand. The dealer casually flips through your coins, and suddenly he freezes. That familiar copper shine catches his eye, but it's the details, the subtle doubling, the perfect strike, the absence of a mint mark, that make his heart skip a beat. He reaches for his magnifying glass. His eyes widen. And at that moment, a single, unassuming penny has just changed the course of someone's life. Think about that one penny. Just one coin that could transform decades of ordinary life into something extraordinary. That's the allure of the 1952 no mint mark Lincoln cent. It's not just metal and design, it's history, its scarcity, and its raw potential. Every collector dreams of it. Every investor longs for it. And yet, for most people, it remains hidden in drawers, jars, or old coin rolls, quietly waiting to be discovered. But there's a catch. Not every 1952 no mint mark penny is a life-changing treasure. In fact, the vast majority are worth only a few dollars. The secret lies in finding the perfect specimen, the coin that combines flawless condition with rare striking errors. That's why every discovery is a potential headline, every auction a heart-pounding thrill. And for those who manage to locate one of these rarities, the payoff is as thrilling as it is shocking. Let's not forget the human element. Stories of ordinary people stumbling across these coins, never knowing the fortune they held, are legendary in the coin collecting world. There's the retired schoolteacher who found a pristine 1952 no-mint mark penny at a garage sale, later selling it for a life-changing six-figure sum. Or the avid collector who spent decades studying rolls of pennies, only to finally hold in his hands the coin that would make him a millionaire. These aren't just anecdotes, they're proof that hidden wealth is out there, lying in plain sight, waiting for someone daring enough to look closely. Now, ask yourself this. Could that change jar on your dresser, that dusty old tin of pennies in the attic, hold the coin of a lifetime? Could it be the 1952 no-mint mark Lincoln cent, with its flawless strike and secret error, waiting for your eyes to find it? History tells us yes. Because these coins exist, they've sold for jaw-dropping sums, and they continue to surface in the most unexpected places. And here's the final, astonishing truth. The 1952 no-mint mark Lincoln cent isn't just a collectible, it's an opportunity. It's proof that even the most ordinary objects can hide extraordinary value. It's a reminder that treasure can be found in the most unlikely places. And it's an invitation, a call to every coin enthusiast, every dreamer, every person who has ever wondered if a simple penny could hold the power to change everything. So, the next time you pick up a penny, examine it closely. Look for the signs, the absence of a mint mark, the doubled letters, the crisp detail that has survived decades. Because among those millions of ordinary pennies, there could be one single coin capable of delivering an extraordinary fortune. The 1952 no-mint mark Lincoln cent is more than a coin, it's a story, a mystery, and a potential legacy. And for the few who are willing to look closely enough, it could be the discovery that defines a lifetime. Could this be your moment? Could the coin that changes everything be hiding in plain sight, waiting for you to recognize it? The 1952 no-mint mark Lincoln cent is out there. Rare, elusive, astonishing, and perhaps, just perhaps, yours to find. But what if I told you that hidden among the countless pennies in circulation lies a tiny, unassuming coin that could make a millionaire out of someone like you? Not someday, not maybe, but potentially today. One such coin has been quietly thrilling collectors and shocking the market for decades. The 1946 no-mint mark Lincoln cent. And the stories surrounding it are nothing short of astonishing. Imagine holding a coin that, at first glance, seems ordinary. A familiar portrait of Abraham Lincoln, a humble copper sheen. But in the world of rare coins, looks are deceiving. What sets the 1946 no-mint mark penny apart is not just its age, it's the hidden errors, the elusive anomalies that turn a simple penny into a treasure worth staggering sums. You've probably seen coins listed online for a few $100s, maybe even a few thousand. But this coin? In top condition, some have sold for over $344,000. Yes, $344,000 for a penny that could be sitting in your own change jar. And that's not the ceiling. Reports and auction history suggest that depending on rarity, grading, and preservation, the value could climb even higher, potentially reaching into the millions. What makes this coin so rare? It's subtle, almost invisible to the untrained eye, but glaringly obvious to experts. In 1946, the U.S. Mint struck Lincoln cents without a mint mark for circulation in Philadelphia. The minting process that year was largely routine, except for occasional die errors. And die errors? They are the secret sauce of coin collecting. A doubled die, a misplaced date, a misaligned minting strike, each flaw is a whisper from history, a unique signature that cannot be duplicated. Some 1946 no-mint mark pennies display doubling on the date or on the word Liberty, creating a subtle but collectible anomaly. Others feature a weak strike, giving Lincoln's profile an almost ghostly appearance. Then there are the off-center strikes, die cracks, and filled die errors that make a single coin a one-of-a-kind marvel. Imagine holding a penny where history has left its fingerprint, an accidental artistry preserved in copper for nearly 80 years. And here's the kicker, these errors were never intended. The mint's presses were precise, mechanical, designed to churn out millions of uniform coins. But like all machines, sometimes they faltered, creating coins that collectors today hunt with obsessive zeal. One small imperfection could turn an ordinary penny into an object so rare that auction houses fight over it. The market for these coins is nothing short of dramatic. There have been documented sales of 1946 no-mint mark pennies in pristine, near-mid condition that shattered expectations. Imagine entering an auction, thinking a coin might fetch a few $1,000s, and seeing the hammer fall at $344,000. For a single penny. One coin. Can you feel the pulse of that excitement? The rush of opportunity? This is why collectors across the United States obsess over their change jars, checking every coin for that subtle telltale sign. But it's not just the money. There's a story etched into every 1946 penny. A post-war America, rebuilding, growing, striking coins that would circulate for decades. And in one press in Philadelphia, a small imperfection crept in. Almost no one noticed. For decades, it remained hidden, quietly passing through hands, slipping into cash registers, pockets, and drawers. Until the day a collector's sharp eye caught it. And in that moment, the ordinary became extraordinary. Now ask yourself, how many coins in your own collection, or maybe even your spare change, have stories like this? How many pennies have you tossed aside, unaware they might be worth more than your rent, more than your car payment, more than you ever imagined? The 1946 no-mint mark Lincoln cent is a testament to hidden opportunity, to the thrill of discovery, to the life-changing possibility that a simple penny could alter your future forever. But finding one isn't easy. It requires knowledge, patience, and a keen eye. Not every 1946 penny is valuable, of course. Condition matters. Sharp details, minimal wear, clean surfaces, these are the hallmarks of coins that can fetch astronomical prices. Grading is everything. Coins graded MS-65 or higher by professional services are the ones commanding hundreds of thousands of dollars at auction. Coins with even the slightest imperfections? They still have value, but nowhere near the stratosphere. And this is where the suspense truly builds. You never know which coin could be your treasure. You could be holding the next $344,000 penny in your hand right now, or it could be tucked in a dusty coin roll at your local bank. The thrill isn't in certainty, it's in possibility. Every glance at a pocket full of pennies is a brush with destiny. Every coin examined is a potential life-altering discovery waiting to happen. Now picture this: you hold a coin up to the light, scrutinizing the date and Lincoln's profile. A subtle doubling catches your eye, or a faint die crack glimmers like a secret signature. Your heart pounds as you realize, this isn't just a penny. This is history. This is rarity. This could be your moment. Collectors describe the feeling as intoxicating. The 1946 no-mint mark penny doesn't just represent value, it represents chance. Opportunity. The thrill of discovery. It's a coin that transforms the ordinary act of handling change into an adventure, a treasure hunt with real stakes. And for those who find it, the rewards are not just financial, they're personal. Pride, recognition, the thrill of having uncovered something no one else noticed. Why now, you might be wondering, how can I spot one? How can I tell if my coin is a hidden gem? Start with the date, 1946, with no mint mark. Examine the word, Liberty, and Lincoln's face for doubling or weak strikes. Look for off-center features or subtle die cracks. If it passes the initial eye test, consider having it professionally graded. Remember, in this world, precision is everything, and a professional grading can be the difference between a few $1,000s and hundreds of thousands. The story of the 1946 no-mint mark Lincoln cent isn't just about coins. It's about dreams. The dream that a small, overlooked item can change everything. That opportunity can arrive disguised as the mundane. That luck, preparation, and knowledge converge in a single moment to turn an ordinary person into a collector who struck gold, figuratively, and sometimes literally. So, what about you? Could your next glance at your coin jar reveal a hidden fortune? Could a simple penny in your hand today become tomorrow's headline? The 1946 no-mint mark Lincoln cent proves that the world of coins is full of secrets, and the most valuable treasures often hide in plain sight. The lesson is clear: pay attention, look closely, never underestimate the small and overlooked. That copper disc in your pocket or purse could carry a story older than most of us, a history of mistakes, minting errors, and human imperfection that makes it one of the most prized coins in the world. And if you're the one to uncover it, you're not just finding a coin, you're finding possibility, excitement, and a chance at a life-changing discovery. So the next time you handle a penny, don't just toss it aside. Examine it. Feel its weight. Study its features. Somewhere in those small, unassuming discs lies a secret waiting for someone with the patience, knowledge, and luck to uncover it. And maybe, just maybe, that someone is you. The 1946 no-mint mark Lincoln cent, a coin that proves fortune favors the vigilant, that history rewards the observant, and that even the smallest object can hold the power to change a life forever. Could your next treasure be a penny? There's only one way to find out. What if I told you that a single coin, sitting quietly in a drawer, a jar, or even a pocket, could change your life forever? That something as small as a Lincoln penny could be worth hundreds of thousands, or even millions, of dollars? Today, we're diving into one of the most elusive and jaw-dropping coins in American history, the 1950 D-Mint mark Lincoln cent. A coin so rare, so misunderstood, that collectors around the world have been left both stunned and obsessed. And by the end of this story, you may be reaching for your own coin collection with completely new eyes. It all begins with a simple, ordinary penny. One that at first glance seems no different than the ones you've been tossing into jars for decades. But the 1950 D Lincoln cent is anything but ordinary. Minted in Denver, this penny carries a hidden legacy of errors and anomalies that have confounded experts for decades. What makes it so valuable? Why are collectors willing to pay sums that could make someone's jaw hit the floor? The first secret lies in its minting process. In 1950, the United States Mint was experimenting with dyes and metal compositions, often producing coins with subtle but significant variations. The 1950 D penny, in particular, is notorious for what collectors call die cracks and double dies. These are not just cosmetic flaws. They are errors that make each coin a singular work of numismatic art. Imagine a tiny Lincoln, etched perfectly into copper, but with anomalies that whisper secrets of a time when minting was both an art and a science. Every crack, every doubled line, could be the difference between a common coin and a rare treasure worth hundreds of thousands. But the story doesn't stop there. The true magic, and the suspense, lies in the market itself. You see, coins like the 1950 D Mint mark Lincoln cent have shattered records. Reports reveal that in pristine, top-tier condition, some of these pennies have sold for staggering amounts, figures that make even seasoned collectors blink. One particular sale, documented in the numismatic community, reached a jaw-dropping $444,000. That's nearly $500,000 for a single penny, a coin that many of us might have once considered worthless spare change. And here's the question that keeps collectors up at night. Could your own pocket change be hiding the next 1950 D Mint mark? Could the coin you pass over at the grocery store, the one at the bottom of a jar, be the key to financial freedom you've only dreamed about? Every jar of pennies, every dusty drawer, suddenly becomes a potential treasure chest. Now, you might be thinking, surely only experts can spot these coins, right? That's where the story gets even more thrilling. While expert grading and magnification can confirm the highest value specimens, some features are surprisingly visible to the naked eye, if you know what to look for. The placement of the mint mark, subtle doubling on Lincoln's profile, and unexpected die cracks that run like lightning across the coin's surface. These anomalies are not random, they are the fingerprints of history, frozen in copper. Each imperfection tells a story, each line is a breadcrumb leading collectors closer to a fortune. But here's the twist, not every 1950 D Lincoln cent is a golden ticket. Millions were minted that year, and most remain humble, everyday pennies. The thrill, and the risk, lies in finding the rare ones, the coins that hide extraordinary value in plain sight. Think of it like searching for a needle in a haystack, except the needle could be worth hundreds of thousands, and the haystack is the spare change you've ignored for decades. As collectors discovered over the years, the market for these coins is unpredictable, almost electric. One day, a coin might sell quietly at auction for tens of thousands. The next, a pristine specimen could break the $400,000 barrier, making headlines and leaving everyone scrambling to check their own collections. There's an almost cinematic quality to it, the thrill of the hunt, the uncertainty of discovery, and the life-changing potential lying dormant in an unassuming coin. And if that isn't suspenseful enough, consider this: some of the most valuable 1950 pennies were not found in mint condition holders, but rather in circulation, forgotten, lost, or tossed aside, only to resurface decades later. It's as if history has a way of rewarding patience, knowledge, and a keen eye. Every day, someone somewhere discovers a coin that flips their world upside down, a coin that was hiding in plain sight, a coin that proves the impossible is real. Let's pause and imagine it for a moment. You're holding a small, copper penny. Your hands trace the tiny portrait of Abraham Lincoln. The mint mark, subtle yet significant, sits beneath the date. Suddenly, a realization hits: you may be holding the coin that collectors dream about. Your heart races. Could this be the one worth $444,000? Could this be the one that changes everything? The possibilities are as thrilling as they are terrifying. But knowledge is power, and understanding the 1950 penny's nuances can mean the difference between treasure and disappointment. Look for clear mint marks, strong strikes, and evidence of die errors. Examine the coin's edges and surfaces for anomalies that whisper their rarity. These details, seemingly minor, can dramatically increase a coin's value. In the world of numismatics, the devil, and the fortune, is in the details. And here's the ultimate revelation: coins like the 1950 Lincoln cent are more than currency. They are time capsules, relics of history, pieces of art, and for some, life-changing investments. They bridge the gap between past and present, connecting you to the meticulous hands that minted them decades ago. Each penny is a story waiting to be told, a secret waiting to be uncovered, a potential fortune waiting to be claimed. So what does this mean for you, right now? It means your change jar, your forgotten drawers, even the coins you pass off as worthless could be hiding a secret of unimaginable value. The 1950 mint mark Lincoln cent is proof that fortune can appear in the most unassuming forms. It's proof that history still has the power to surprise, to inspire, and to transform lives. The final question is yours. Will you let these pennies slip by, or will you look a little closer? Will you uncover the hidden errors, the doubled dies, the die cracks that could be worth hundreds of thousands, or even millions, of dollars? The 1950 Lincoln cent isn't just a coin. It's a challenge, a mystery, and a promise. And for the collector willing to seek it out, it could be the discovery that changes everything. Because sometimes, the most ordinary object can hold the most extraordinary secret. And in your hands, that secret might just be a 1950 Lincoln penny waiting to make history, and make you rich. Imagine holding in your hand a coin that could turn an ordinary day into a life-changing event. A coin so rare, so elusive, that collectors around the world would give anything to claim it. Today, we're diving deep into one of the most intriguing treasures in American numismatics, the 1954 mint mark Lincoln cent. But this isn't just any penny. Hidden within its humble copper surface are errors, anomalies, and secrets that could make it worth up to a staggering $500,000, or even more in rare cases. You've probably seen a 1954 Lincoln cent before, maybe in a jar of old coins, or slipped between the couch cushions. Most people toss them aside without a second thought. But what if that coin is the key to a fortune? What if, sitting quietly in your drawer, is a piece of history that collectors would fight to own? The 1954 penny isn't just metal, it's a doorway into the world of serious wealth and unimaginable discovery. Here's where it gets fascinating. The Denver Mint, where this coin was struck, produced millions of pennies that year. But only a fraction bear the D mint mark with the precise characteristics that make them extraordinary. Experts have identified subtle yet shocking errors that occur in only a handful of surviving coins. Errors like doubled dies, where letters and numbers appear twice in a ghostly echo, tiny die cracks that run like lightning across the coin's surface, or variations in the mint mark itself that instantly distinguish a common penny from a rare, collectible treasure. And these errors aren't just curiosities. They are the gateway to unimaginable value. In the rarest, Pristine conditions, these coins have been reported to sell for as much as $544,000. That's right, more than $500,000 for a coin that most people wouldn't even give a second glance. It's a mind-blowing thought. Something so small, so ordinary, could hold such extraordinary power. But how does a simple penny reach such astronomical values? It all comes down to rarity, condition, and history. Coins are graded on a scale from worn and common to flawless and virtually untouched. The 1954 D penny in mint condition, known as MS-65 or higher, is a unicorn. These coins survived decades of circulation without losing their sharp detail, their original luster preserved, their errors perfectly visible under close inspection. Collectors crave these specimens, and when they appear at auction, the bidding wars can be ferocious. Think about that for a moment. One coin, a little piece of copper stamped in 1954, can spark auctions that rival the intensity of rare art sales. Millions of dollars can change hands in the blink of an eye, all because someone recognized a hidden anomaly that most would never notice. Could that penny lying in your change jar be hiding the same secret? Could it be the next 1954 D mint mark Lincoln cent destined to fetch a fortune? Let's take a closer look at the errors that make this penny so sought after. First, there's the famous double die error. On certain coins, the word Liberty or the date appears doubled, as if the coin has a shadow. It's subtle, almost invisible to the untrained eye, but to collectors, it's a defining feature, a mark that transforms an ordinary penny into a rare, highly coveted piece. Then there are die cracks and die chips, tiny imperfections in the minting process that become permanent hallmarks of authenticity. These anomalies tell a story, whispering secrets of the minting process, of machines that misfired, and human hands that shaped history. The Denver Mint was notorious for such variations. In 1954, quality control was high, but not perfect. Coins with minor mistakes slipped through, and over time, those mistakes became golden tickets. The perfect coin with the right error, preserved in top condition, is a treasure that commands attention, admiration, and, of course, wealth. Now, you might be wondering, how often do these coins actually appear? The answer is both thrilling and terrifying. They are exceedingly rare. Only a handful exist in top-grade conditions. And even fewer have ever reached the auction block. That scarcity is what drives the value. Each coin is a one-of-a-kind artifact, a moment in time preserved for eternity. When a coin surfaces, collectors swarm, and bidding can spiral to shocking heights. One report cites a 1954 D penny selling for over $500,000 in pristine condition. That's more than most people make in a lifetime, all for a coin smaller than a thumbnail. But here's the most exciting part. You don't need to inherit a treasure chest or strike gold in a mine. Sometimes, these coins show up where you least expect them. In old coin jars, in rolls forgotten in drawers, in boxes of loose change passed down from grandparents. The potential for discovery is real, and it's thrilling. One moment you're flipping through your pocket change, the next, you could be holding a coin worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. Can you feel the suspense building? Because here's the kicker, even if you don't find a coin that tops the $500,000 mark, the 1954 D penny still holds incredible value. Mid-grade examples with minor errors can sell for thousands, easily outperforming rare collectibles that get overlooked by casual collectors. And if you're a serious coin hunter, this is exactly the kind of find that changes everything. One lucky discovery can propel you into the world of high-value numismatics, opening doors to auctions, collectors, and a network of enthusiasts who live for these once-in-a-lifetime moments. So, how do you know if you've found one of these rare coins? It takes patience, a trained eye, and sometimes, a professional grading service. Look for doubled letters, die cracks, unusual mint mark shapes, and any subtle irregularities in the date. Keep an eye on the coin's condition. Luster, wear, and edge sharpness matter more than you might think. And don't rush. The thrill is in the search, in the anticipation, in the possibility that your next coin could be worth a fortune. Imagine the moment you hold a top-condition 1954 D penny in your hand, knowing it could sell for $500,000 or more. The coin isn't just a collectible, it's a symbol of opportunity, a reminder that treasures can be hiding in plain sight. Every day, ordinary coins pass through your hands, but once in a while, one of these extraordinary pennies emerges from the shadows. And when it does, lives can change forever. Could this be your lucky day? Could the coins you overlook every week be the very ones collectors dream about? The truth is, opportunity favors the curious. Every coin you examine is a chance to uncover history, to witness an era that survived decades, to hold a tangible piece of the past, and potentially, a ticket to unimaginable wealth. The 1954 D Mint Mark Lincoln cent is more than a coin. It's a story frozen in time, a whisper of history that can still shock and inspire today. It's proof that fortune often hides in the smallest, most unsuspecting places, waiting for someone bold enough, curious enough, and patient enough to find it. And remember this: each coin has a secret, a story, and a value that far exceeds its face. It's a reminder that even the tiniest things in life can hold extraordinary power. So, what are you waiting for? Go through your change, search that forgotten drawer, open that old coin roll. The 1954 D penny is out there, and it's waiting for the next person who has the vision to see its true worth. One coin could be the start of a journey that changes your life forever. The question isn't if a treasure is out there, the question is, will you be the one to find it? Because when that coin finally lands in your hands, when you spot that double die or the perfect D Mint mark, you'll know the truth. Fortune has a way of finding those who are ready. And maybe, just maybe, the next story we tell will be yours. Imagine holding a coin so ordinary, so seemingly insignificant, that it has spent decades quietly tucked away in drawers, jars, and the bottom of your pocket change. A coin that, at first glance, is just a penny. But what if I told you that this penny, the 1940 No Mint Mark Lincoln cent, could be worth more than your wildest dreams? Millions of dollars, to be exact. Yes, millions. And collectors are paying staggering sums, with some pristine examples reportedly selling for as much as $644,000. But there's a twist, a hidden secret lurking in its metal that can turn an everyday penny into a fortune. The story of the 1940 No Mint Mark Lincoln cent isn't just about money, it's about mystery, error, and the thrill of discovery. It's a story that starts with a tiny, unassuming copper disc, stamped in 1940 at the Philadelphia Mint, the only mint producing these coins without a mint mark. To the casual observer, it looks like every other Lincoln cent you've ever seen. But among the millions minted that year, some coins carry hidden flaws, rare errors, and subtle anomalies that can turn a simple penny into an astonishing treasure. What makes this coin so extraordinary? It's all in the errors. Experts have identified several variations in the 1940 No Mint Mark penny, from doubled dies to die cracks, and even slight misalignments in Lincoln's profile. These are mistakes that occurred during production, tiny imperfections that escaped the scrutiny of the mint's inspectors. And in the world of rare coins, imperfections are treasures. A small doubling on the date, a faint but discernible crack running through the design, these aren't flaws, they are keys. Keys that unlock unimaginable value. Imagine discovering one of these pennies among your loose change, a coin no one else recognizes, and suddenly realizing it could be worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. How would that change everything for you? Collectors call it a sleeping giant. The 1940 No Mint Mark Lincoln cent has quietly amassed a legendary reputation in the numismatic world. While most coins from 1940 might fetch mere dollars, the rare errors and pristine specimens command eye-popping sums. Some of these pennies, with perfect strike and flawless surfaces, have sold at auction for prices that rival luxury cars, rare art, and even small homes. $644,000 for a single penny. Pause for a moment and let that sink in. A single 1-cent coin, a coin you could find in your pocket right now, has reached this astronomical value. And it's not just the money. It's the thrill, the adrenaline, the rush of being the one to find it. Imagine sifting through your collection, or maybe even the loose change in your drawer, and spotting that subtle anomaly in the date, or the faint doubling on Lincoln's shoulder. Your heart races. Could this be it? Could this be the coin that changes everything? This is what collectors live for, and this is what makes the 1940 No Mint Mark Lincoln cent a legend. But let's dive deeper. because the story only gets more fascinating. There are documented cases where minor variations, almost invisible to the untrained eye, have propelled coins to unbelievable heights. A slight die crack on the reverse, a small repunch date, these are details that most people overlook. But for collectors, these details are the difference between a penny worth $1 and a penny worth hundreds of thousands. And the demand? Insatiable. Coin enthusiasts across the country are hunting these errors with a single goal: to claim a piece of history, and potentially a life-changing fortune. So, how do you spot one? What should you look for? The key is the date, the absence of a mint mark, and the subtle anomalies that whisper, rare, if you know where to look. Examine the digits of 1940 closely. Look for doubling, for inconsistencies in the lines and curves of Lincoln's profile. Check the rim and edges for tiny die cracks. Some errors are obvious, others almost ghostly, requiring a trained eye or a jeweler's loupe. But here's the thrilling part: sometimes, the most valuable coins are hiding in plain sight, overlooked by those who never even considered that a common penny could hold the key to unimaginable wealth. The market for these coins is fierce. Auction houses report sales that can send shivers down your spine. Collectors have been known to pay hundreds of thousands for a coin in top condition, and it's not just about owning a penny, it's about owning history, rarity, and a story that few will ever experience. The 1940 no-mint mark Lincoln cent isn't just money, it's a legend in copper, a tangible link to the past, a one-in-a-million opportunity that sits quietly in the shadows, waiting for discovery. And here's the most compelling part: you don't need to be a millionaire to get in on this. Some of the most stunning finds have come from ordinary collectors, people who simply noticed something unusual while sorting through change or inherited collections. Imagine stumbling across a coin that no one else recognizes as valuable, a coin that experts will fight over, a coin that could instantly elevate your financial and personal story. That's the allure. That's the dream. And for the 1940 no-mint mark Lincoln cent, that dream has become reality for a fortunate few. But beware, the stakes are high. Every expert knows that condition is everything. The difference between a penny worth $10 and a penny worth $644,000 is in its preservation. Flaws, scratches, or signs of wear can dramatically impact value. This is why top-condition coins command such jaw-dropping prices. This is why collectors will pay without hesitation when the perfect specimen surfaces. And this is why you need to examine your coins carefully. Because hidden among the ordinary, the mundane, the everyday pennies in your possession, there could be a rare gem waiting to rewrite your story. And so, the question lingers: could the next life-changing coin be in your possession right now? Could it be quietly sitting in a jar, in a piggy bank, or lost among other coins on your desk? Could you be holding a 1940 no-mint mark Lincoln cent that carries with it the potential to transform your life overnight? The answer is, astonishingly, yes. And the thrill of discovery, the rush of knowing you've uncovered something extraordinary, is priceless. Collectors, dreamers, and treasure hunters know that rare coins are more than metal. They are opportunity, history, and legacy. And among them, the 1940 no-mint mark Lincoln cent shines as one of the most thrilling and rewarding finds imaginable. With errors that whisper secrets from the past, with market values that shock the imagination, with stories of fortune made overnight, this coin is a siren call to anyone willing to look closely, think boldly, and act swiftly. So the next time you reach for a penny, pause. Look closely. Study the date, examine the details, and wonder. Because in a single copper disc lies the potential for wealth, for discovery, for a story that only you can tell. The 1940 no-mint mark Lincoln cent isn't just a coin, it's a portal to dreams realized, fortunes won, and a world of numismatic mystery waiting for the brave, the observant, and the daring. Could your next penny be the one? Could the ordinary become extraordinary? Could a coin you hold in your hand right now make history, and change your life forever? The answers are waiting. And the clock is ticking.